So, Coach, I'm gonna pause right there and see if there's any questions or anything as far as practicality or a message that I can help with.
Coach, you mentioned your busy schedule. What are some practical ways that you prioritize your relationship with Christ? What does a day in the life of Coach TJ look like?
Yeah. Well, first of all, I do a lot. I am part owner of a couple businesses. I coach a college basketball team, and all kinds of other stuff. Right now I'm leading the presidential search for our new president at our college. The list goes on and on of things that I do, but none more important than being a husband and a father, right? And none more important for me to do those well than to spend time with the Lord. And so when I look at to just practically answer your question, because this is what I need. Other people may need different, but I dominate my schedule. I dominate my schedule in a way that there's one thing that I put in first to my schedule every day, which is my morning routine. I know I'm going to start my morning out with a couple of things. I'm going to start it out connecting with the Lord. I'm going to start it out counting my blessings, and I do a gratitude exercise every day to put myself in the mindset of having just great gratitude. I mean, we have one major pillar in our basketball program, and that is gratitude. And I believe that if you can coach a team full of thankful players, you're going to enjoy your job. And so each day, gratitude is at the top of our list, and we build that into everything that we do. We start practice with gratitude. Celebrate a teammate or celebrate something good that's going on in your life. We end practice that way all the time. We pause in practice, put them in groups of 3 or 4, before we go to water break. Celebrate something you saw somebody else do. Celebrate something you're thankful for that a teammate did. Like, we constantly work on gratitude. When the heart is full of gratitude, it is amazing what can come from it. But I start that every morning with my morning routine, and then I move in my calendar for the week and the month, and I put in the things that I'm going to do with my wife, and then I work towards my kids, and then I build everything else around it, all my jobs, my practice, whatever. But I'm going to fill the calendar with the things that matter most first. Otherwise, we're going to get to the end of our life and our calendar is going to be screwed up, and it's going to look a lot different than we actually wanted it to look. And so I'm meticulous about building out a calendar, because I believe there's enough hours in the days to do all those things that you want to do. You can be a great husband, wife. You can be a great father. You can be a great coach. You can help lead business. You can do anything you want to do, but dominating my calendar with my priorities, and that being my relationship with the Lord, my ability to be a husband and lead my family in a godly relationship. And then step 3 to my kids. And then after that, it's pouring into my players. And then I put all the other things that fill in behind that.
Thank you.
Yeah, great question.
I drove closer with one of your former players this year, Michael Wright at UIS.
Yeah.
And I was hoping he could get here today, but he's working. But he mentioned your consistency was a trait that when he thought of you, he thought of consistency. What are some things that can be stumbling blocks for a coach to keep a high level of consistency?
Yeah. What a great question. I appreciate you sharing that. First of all, Mike is a phenomenal young man and had 4 great years here, and super proud of him. And what Mike was consistent. He showed up every day and got his work in. And I think when Mike speaks of consistency to me, it's you want to build a stable place for young people to be and to go and to do. Now, look, not everybody loves what I do. Not everybody loves how I lead. Not everybody has. But when you're consistent, I think they feel safe. They feel safe to, today coach isn't going to tell me this thing, and the next thing he's going to go off his rocker. And when I think of consistency, and what I think maybe Mike is talking about there is that not super high, not super low in any of those things, just trying to walk consistently with the Lord and do my best. And here's one that's probably outside of the box, but I think ties directly to consistency, is vulnerability and forgiveness. I ask for forgiveness from my players and my team all the time, and I'm super vulnerable that I have a lot of weaknesses with them. And I think that is a consistent thing that they say on a daily basis that frees them up to do the same, to be vulnerable and to say, I'm sorry, and to ask for forgiveness. And so I think that there's not a place of fear. Now, again, demanding, but not a place of fear. And I think when they see me consistently show up that way, they're not operating from a place of fear or unknown. And I think it gives them security, and it feels consistent, and it feels safe because those things are in place.
Yeah, he said one, thing he liked about his 4 years at Emmanuel was he was not consistently on an emotional roller coaster. Where there was, real stability, where he could, come in and, he knew what he was gonna expect. And then basically that sort of transferred over to the way he created habits that, really, ended up in him being more consistent than he was when he came in as a freshman. So, that was something that really stuck with me that he said. And basically, I saw that in him the entire year throughout the season, whether he was in a personal slump or whether the team was in a slump or whether they were going well, it was sort of just an even keel, the whole thing.
Yeah. Yeah. And I'll be that trickle down from probably John Wooden mentoring my dad mentoring me, and I think when you're grounded in what you think and what you believe, like, it's easy to be consistent because you know what matters the most. And that's why I go back to the beginning when I talked about clarity of mission and identity and all of those things. Like, I have what I call a commitment statement. I'm actually see if I can pull that up and read it to you real fast. But I have a commitment statement that is who I want to be every single day, and how I want to show up to my team. And I'll read it to you. You can count on me to develop, engage, and empower men of great influence. I expect greatness. You can count on me to hold myself, the staff, and our team to a standard that is unmatched and taught with excellence. I will not only lead the way, I will go the way. I communicate to challenge and uplift. I will be shaped, and we will be well shaped. I will deposit all of my basketball energy into our team. Bad teammates, whining, pouting, parents, administrators will be forbidden from taking any of the joy that I get from coaching. I value everyone more as a person than I do as a player. I will lead us with an unwavering pursuit of being school changers, game changers, and world changers. This team will not be about me. I will add value consistently to all endeavors and people that I encounter. And so I shared that, and I recently shared that in a secular setting. And so I tried to make it into a way where they could just learn to build some principles and some good things. So I changed it a little bit to fit with their hair, and that's the one I have up on my computer. But I'm not great at all those things, but that's who I strive to be every day. And I have a commitment statement that I share with my team and say, hey, listen, this is the coach that I want to be, how I want to show up every day. And feel free to call me out anytime I don't show up like this. I know I'm going to fail, but feel free to call. And I think that leans to that consistency, because I might not be that person every day, but this is who I'm striving to be every day. And I have accountability to try and be that person every day.
You mentioned the term joy. What are the biggest joy robbers?
Well, yeah, there's a lot of joy robbers in sports right now, right? I mean, I could turn that to you guys. Like, if I said, hey, name me 100 things that take your joy, and I give you 60 seconds, you probably blow 100 out of the water. Like, there's a lot of things that take the joy. I help provide leadership to a company called PGC. It's called Pointer College, and we do about 16,000 kids a summer in summer camps. And when we get done, we leave them with one thing, and we try and be transformational in their life. We leave them with one thing: you are the protector of your joy. People will constantly try and steal that from you, and I don't know which ways it'll come at you this year, because it probably came at you some ways last year, and they might be totally different this year. It might come from administration. It might come from parents. It might come from a bad apple. It might come from coaches you coach against. But there are going to be things. I mean, like, just go back to the verse, right? The enemy is coming to do what? He's not even hiding that. Steal, kill, and destroy. Like, those are the things that they're meant to take your joy. Why do they want to take your joy? So that you cannot have kingdom impact. Those are why those things go into place. And that's why we've got to be the protector of that. That's why we got to put things in place to be able to protect that. We've got to go ahead and declare it. You cannot have my joy. That's why I put it on my commitments. You can't have it. I don't care what comes out. You can't have it. And so, I mean, the list could go on forever and ever. And we've all experienced so many things that have tried to steal our joy of coaching. But at the end of the day, we've got to protect that. I think the one I hear most from coaches right now is parents. I mean, that's the one that I hear the most of. I hear that there's, you know, entitlement is one that I hear a lot that steals their joy. You know, I hear those on the regular, probably more than any other two from coaches.
Yeah, but actually, the one that I hear the most from the college coaches I work with is the word entitlement. Because he said it's oftentimes you have to re-recruit the kid after he gets to campus because he thinks he's got all these preconceptions of what's going to happen, you know, because you've been recruiting for 2 or 3 years, and hey, we want you here, you're important, and then he gets there and reality sets in. So I think that entitlement is important, and I think what you mentioned about the joy, we actually have to give permission for somebody to rob us of our joy, and that's where we've got to stay strong.
Yeah.
Thanks.
Yeah. You know, I got a quick story on that right now. We had the leading scorer in the country, an All-American. He's a really good player, and he's coming back for his 5th year. And he showed me every text of every Power 5 school that sent him, which they're not supposed to be doing. But he showed me every text. He showed me the NIL money out there, which I told him, go take it. You know, I mean, you're talking $400,000. Go take it. And he's coming back anyway. And I attribute that not just to me, like I just attribute that to our team culture. Like there's those guys that, and look, players, sometimes there is a better situation for them. Sometimes there is a reason to go to another place. I tell my staff all the time, we are not going to re-recruit anybody. If we loved them right during the year and that wasn't enough, then they need to go. It's okay. And we don't always, you know, we don't have a lot of people that do, but it's okay. Like if we didn't give them enough love, if we didn't live it out, if we didn't, it's okay. It's a learning for us. And so I've forbidden that from taking any of my joy. You know, if he or any of our other players would have gone, you know, okay, maybe the Lord has something else for him, but I'm not going to let that take my joy because it does steal joy right now. I mean, kids are jumping ship every day. I mean, the average number of transfers is almost half your team right now, which does steal a little bit of our joy if we don't protect against it.
Thanks.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Coach, you got time for 1 or 2 more questions?
Yeah, sure.
Coach, you talked about your culture. It sounds like you have a great 3-dimensional culture at your program. How in building that culture with your staff, you talked a lot about being a transformational coach with your athletes. How do you develop your coaches throughout the season to also on their transformational journey? Because that's, you know, you're one guy, you're steering the ship, but it only takes one transactional interaction with an athlete to, you know, can really damage an athlete. Or
yeah, that is a great question. You know, first of all, let me say, I do think we have a phenomenal culture, but let me also define culture for you. I think a good culture is like a healthy family. I think I got a healthy family at home, but do we fight? Yeah. Do we have problems? Yeah. Do we, you know, like, I think the expectation, like a good culture is no problems, is actually not true. I think the ability to take your problems and use them as lessons and springboards forward is what a good culture looks like. If a culture doesn't have problems, I don't think it exists. I don't even think it's a real thing. Like you're going to have those problems. So I just want to be clear about that. We have our problems just like anybody else. If I had to say what we separate ourselves in, we handle our problems by empowering people in different ways. And when you talk specifically about staff, I would just say that there's one thing that I think is missed more than anything is coaches get so busy trying to accomplish what they need to accomplish, they forget to grow the people in their care. And when the people in your care are not growing, they grow stale. They look for other things. They don't want to be a part of it. They don't understand their value. They don't know where they contribute. So the first thing that we do with all of our assistant coaches, so we have a lot and we don't have a lot of money, but over time we've grown. Like we've built a student assistant thing where we've built a program where these guys love it. And we've got 3 student assistants and a 4th coming. And so we got a whole bunch of people that we got why do they want to be a part of our program? They want to be a part of our program because they feel important. They feel valued. They feel like we're trying to help them and grow them. And we give them responsibility so that they matter, that they feel like what they do matters on a regular basis. And so growing them on a regular, like we meet as a staff, we do different, devotionals together. I try and pour into them the same way I would players and get to know them, whatever it might be. But we also recognize our weaknesses and different things we do. Like I have an assistant coach, Graham Maxwell, who he is unbelievable at loving on people. Like I'm a D and he's the opposite. If it was up to him, I don't know if he would get anything done all day, but he's going to love the heck out of some players. Like he's just going to do that. And so understanding that balance and where we each need to adjust and grow, but specifically to the people in your staff, the thing that I think holds back is we're not intentional about it. We're not trying to grow that because we've got too many other things that we've got to do. And so we have things in place like where we meet on Monday mornings and do our Bible study together, our text change of gratitude, where we start a couple of days a week with texting each other back and forth about gratitude. And then we call 7-minute check-ins as well. So every day I do a 7-minute check-in about what are you doing well? We start that with celebrations, meaning, hey, what do you celebrate that you've done? So tell me something good you've done. Okay. And then I'll celebrate that. I saw you do this. So we started with gratitude and appreciation to begin, but I just check in with everybody on our staff 7 minutes. And it doesn't sound like a lot, but it's an opportunity to know what their struggles are, what they need help with, what they're doing well, to know that they're appreciated. And if you got 5 guys, that's 35 minutes a day that you're checking in and you're making sure that they're growing, see if they need your help, anything, and let them know that they're appreciated for what they do.
Awesome. Any other questions, Coach? Coach, I got one more for you here. How do you find a way to weave in your family into your culture and your program?
Yeah. That's a great question because we all face different challenges. I used to live a quarter mile from the gym and it was really easy. They just did everything with us and we homeschooled our kids and it was like, man, this is perfect. Right. And now I've got some in high school. I got a 5-year-old. We live a little bit farther away, like all of those different things. But I am constantly looking for ways to do that. One of those ways that I do it is, early on, we speak to our guys. We try and cover off every topic. And one of the topics we speak to them about is how we treat women. And so we have Coach Graham's wife, my wife, and sometimes somebody else come in and they tell their stories about what it was like being pursued as young ladies, things that they went up against, things that hurt them, things that made them feel inferior, things that made them whatever, and then also things that made them feel great and made them feel special. And so just incorporating them, one, really early, I incorporate my wife. I have her have some level of vulnerability so they see her in that light rather than just Coach's wife, like share and open up. And so we do that really early with our staff. And then with our kids, I think it comes down to like things that we can do to have them. Well, I say this, quick story. I was teaching a PGC camp one time. A young lady said she wanted to go home. She was feeling miserable. I helped her through that week, talked to the dad a bunch of times. I didn't know it at the end, but this was probably a billionaire guy at the end. And he created some pretty famous things in society. And I didn't know it till the very end, but she stuck it out. She had a great experience. And he came up to me. And after the camp, he offered me a gift. I said, I can't take that gift. He said, I would do anything I could to help you. And I said, well, why is that? And he said, really plain and simple, you'll understand this one day. And I was too young to understand. He said, but when you're young, your heroes are athletes and rock stars and whatever. And when you're old, your heroes are those people that pour into your kids. And that's the unique opportunity that we have to be able to pour in others. And so I want the same thing for my family, like for my kids. I want for those players to have opportunities to pour into my kids. And so I'm intentional to create those. I have them do one-on-one lessons with my kids in basketball. Some of them I have, all of my kids right now are mentored in some way. I have one that teaches my 16-year-old son how to play the piano. I have one that works with my daughter in basketball and doing drills and playing with her. I have one that helps my youngest daughter with her studies. And then my 5-year-old, he just kind of hangs out and has fun. But the other 3 children are all mentored by one of my players in some way, form, or fashion. And it was intentional about that and respecting their services too. You know, I pay them $20 an hour to do that. It's an opportunity for them to earn some money, but it's also an opportunity for them to be, my kids to be mentored by somebody. And so that's a way that I think is really important when your players can become the heroes to your children and they see how important that is to you, it becomes cyclical.
Awesome. Thank you, Coach, for that. Would you mind closing us in a word of prayer?
Yeah, absolutely. Hey, thanks for what y'all do. I can't say that enough. I mean, I almost get emotional every time I think about it, like how important a coach is. You know, I look back at my career and I think, man, I know I failed some kids, you know, and I didn't want to fail them, but I know I failed some. And I know you're going to be around kids and it's, you know, could be my kid, could be your neighbors, could be whatever, but like, thanks for what you do. It's so important. So, Lord, I lift up each and every one of these coaches. I give you thanks and praise and just glory for your ability to use them and to give them the skills and to give them all of the gifts that you've given them to be able to make an impact for the kingdom, Lord. I've got a really simple request from you. Can you have great, mighty, and wonderful things happen in their life and in their career and for their athletes and for their staff this year? I know that you can deliver on that, Lord, and I boldly ask great, mighty, and wonderful things for each one of these coaches. It's in your name we pray. Amen.
And then, thank you, Coach.
Yeah. Thank y'all.